Guys, what's up? Welcome back here to another edition of the Fishing Teacher, and thanks for checking out today's video. Much appreciated. And guys, today we're going to be talking about fishing isolated logs, logs that are just sitting by themselves away from any other piece of cover. These are some of my favorite targets to fish, man. They're really good structures to catch some big bass on. So we're out on the water today, and I've got a really good example of a laydown isolated log. So we're going to show you what it is, how to approach it, and how you can usually catch some fish off them. So here we go. Guys, here's an example of what we're talking about. Here's a good isolated log, which would be an ideal place to catch a bass. Now, there's several different ways that you want to approach this based upon a couple different variables here. It has to do with the water visibility and the water depth, and obviously the water temperature, because they're going to be better at certain times of the year. So here's a basic foundation of what you need to remember. It's like, okay, if the water depth here is like less than, say, I'm going to guess 3 or 4 feet deep on this particular log. And right here, you can see it's about 7 feet right here. But if the water depth is 4 feet or less, most of the time the fish are going to be on the bottom, really in the darkest part of it. And one of the things you need to realize, like this log here, you know, you can see the end of it here, but you really have no idea what it looks like under the water. There could be a root system down there somewhere way out here, or there could just be a log sitting on the bottom. But if that depth is less than 4 feet deep, try to concentrate on these with like some type of a bottom lure, like a jig or a creature bait or a Texas rig plastic worm, and just basically pitch and flip and fan cast all over, and make sure that you really hit a lot of these areas out here that you can't see. So cast your lure out away from the visible part of it and drag it until you can feel the structure down there. And like I said, a lot of times there's a root wad, you know, way out off of it, which is usually the best place for it there. Now, if the water is deeper than 4 feet, and say, for example, the log is over some deeper water, a lot of times these fish are going to suspend around this isolated log. So this is when I would take like a spinnerbait or a chatterbait or a swim bait, and I would get parallel and come down the side of the log there, really thinking those fish are going to be suspended underneath the log there over deeper water. So if this was like, say, in 8, 9, 10 foot of water, I'd make my cast just like this, reel it down the side, trying to target those suspended fish, not really going off the deeper end. Now, obviously, water temperature has a lot to do with it. You know, if the water is below, say, 55 degrees, you know, you need to slow down with something a little bit slower, or a slow rolled spinnerbait, or maybe a, you know, some type of a slower moved crawdad crankbait. And if the water is warmer, a lot of times you can catch them on top water, especially if the water visibility is over 2 or 3 feet. You could run a buzzbait or a walking top water over the top. Hey guys, just a basic refresher course on fishing isolated logs, man. One of the reasons they're so good is a lot of people pass them up because there may be a really good looking shoreline down the bank here, and you're focused on catching fish on this shoreline, and there may be an isolated log maybe 100 yards out into the lake, and a lot of people just won't go to the effort to go out there and fish one piece of cover. So never pass it up, man. If you guys see an isolated log out there, just take a couple minutes to hit it, because usually if there's a fish on it, it's a really good sized fish. So hope it helps out, guys. We'll talk later.